He invited his maid as a joke, but when she walked in looking like a goddess, everyone froze. The ballroom glittered beneath chandeliers, imported from Italy, casting dazzling reflections over polished marble floors. Every inch of the space screamed perfection. White orchids flown in from Amsterdam, tuxedos hand-tailored in Paris, and a guest list glittering with CEOs, politicians, and Hollywood elite. It was the kind of wedding people talked about for years. And standing at the heart of it all was 34-year-old Graham Wexler, dressed in a custom black tux with silk lapels and a boatie that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. As he adjusted his cufflinks, he leaned toward his best man and smirked. "Let's see if the maid actually shows up." The best man laughed, eyes wide. "Wait, you seriously invited her?" Graham nodded, smug. "She's been scrubbing my floors for 5 years. Might as well give her a front row seat to the life she'll never have." They both chuckled. Amara had worked in his estate for years, silent, invisible, always professional. She wore worn uniforms, kept her natural hair in a tight bun, and never looked anyone in the eye unless spoken to. No one knew where she came from. No one ever asked. She was just their background. So when Graham sent her an invitation, it was meant as a joke, a power move. But then she showed up. The band was tuning their instruments. Champagne flowed freely. Laughter echoed across the room. And then the doors opened. At first, no one recognized her. She wasn't wearing a uniform. She wasn't carrying a mop. She was in a strapless white gown that flowed like silk water. Her natural curls were shaped into a regal crown, a silver headband glinting softly under the chandeliers. Her skin glowed with confidence. No heavy makeup, no flashy jewelry, just presence. All conversation stopped. Who is she? Was she invited? She's stunning. Even the bride, standing across the room, noticed something strange. Her groom had gone completely still, mouth slightly open, eyes locked, frozen. She turned to see what he was staring at. And there stood Amara, not just present, radiant. She walked forward slowly. She didn't demand space. The room made space for her. People stepped back, heads turned. Champagne glasses paused midair. Even Graham's groomsmen, men who spent years laughing at her, without knowing her name, fell silent. Graham's grip tightened around the edge of his jacket. This woman, the one who once cleaned his mirrors and polished his boots without a word, now looked like a queen. She wasn't here for him. She wasn't here for revenge. She was here for herself. And her presence alone rewrote the energy. In the room, the groom whispered to his best man, "What is she doing here?" "You invited her," the best man replied. "No, not like this." But Amara wasn't listening. She smiled gently at the bride, a soft, respectful gesture. The bride, unsure, uneasy, nodded slightly in return. Amara moved to the back of the room, quiet, graceful. She didn't need to sit in the front row. She didn't need to speak. She had already become the centerpiece of the evening, without even trying. Graham's father leaned in and asked, "Isn't that the maid you used to mock?" Graham said nothing, because mocking her now, that felt impossible. To the guests, she was a mystery. To the photographers, she was the unexpected highlight of the night. But to the groom, she was the one mistake he never thought he'd regret. What no one at that wedding knew was how close she had come to not showing up at all. Just a few hours earlier, Amara had stood alone on a street corner, dressed in her worn beige work dress, the same one she always wore to scrub floors and dust chandeliers. She held the wedding invitation in her hand, stiff, white, embossed in gold. It felt like a joke, a cruel one. And just as she was about to walk away, someone called her name, Amara. She turned. There, stepping out of a coffee shop in heels and a navy blazer, was Zuri Blake, an old friend from university, someone she hadn't seen in over a decade. "Someone from a past life," Zuri, Amara whispered. Zuri rushed over, pulled her into a hug. No words were needed. The years, the heartbreak, the silence between them, it all dissolved. "You got invited to the Wexler wedding?" Zuri asked, glancing at the card in Amara's hand. Amara shrugged, probably as a joke. Zuri's eyes narrowed. "He thinks you'll show up like this, doesn't he? I almost didn't come." Zuri grabbed her hand. You're coming, but not like this. Not on his terms. 45 minutes later, Amara sat in a plush salon chair. The old dress was gone. Her curls were shaped into a glowing halo, her nails painted pearl white. Don't worry about the cost, Zuri said. I owe you more than this. A few hours later, in front of a boutique mirror, Amara stood in a flawless strapless gown. Unsure if she even recognized the woman staring back at her, Zuri gently placed a silver headband across her forehead. That's who you've always been. And when Amara walked into that ballroom, the room shifted. After the ceremony, whispers still circled. Some thought she was a movie star. Others whispered she might be royalty. A few brave ones tried to flirt, but Amara ignored them all. She made her way quietly to the corner of the reception, where Graham stood, with a drink in hand and shame in his eyes. You invited me to laugh at me, didn't you? She asked, softly. He looked around, nervous. Amara, this isn't the time. She smiled. Relax. I'm not here to ruin your wedding. I came to walk in there and show them what you never saw in 5 years. His jaw clenched. You think you're better than me? I don't need to be, she said, her voice calm and steady. I just needed to remember. I was never less. She turned to leave, but he stopped her. Wait, what were you really? You weren't just a maid, were you? She paused. I was top of my class at St. Clair Law. I was on track to graduate, with honors, but a week before finals, I lost both my parents in a car accident. I dropped out to raise my little brother. I took any job I could. Your house was just one of them. He stared, stunned. You had a law degree. I had potential, she corrected. You just never looked long enough to see it. Minutes later, an older woman in her 60s approached Amara at the dessert table. She was elegant, composed with tears in her eyes. My name is Judge Vivian Whitmore, she said. I overheard what you said. I taught at St. Clair 20 years ago. I remember your name. Amara blinked. You do. You wrote a paper on equity law that I still quote in my lectures. She smiled warmly. If you ever want a second chance, I can make a call. A scholarship, a seat. It's waiting for you. Amara couldn't speak. She just nodded, eyes full. She left the wedding without glancing back at Graham. She didn't need to. The people who once laughed behind champagne flutes now stepped aside in quiet awe. The men who once looked through her now lowered their gaze. Waited by the exit, keys in hand. As they drove off, Amara looked out the window, head held high. The girl who once scrubbed their floors had just walked out of their ballroom like a goddess. Enjoyed the story? Hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, keep watching.